Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another Freedom and Wealth Seekers podcast. This is Marcel, the REI Success Maker. Folks, we are on episode 27. Can you believe that? We're on episode 27. I, I can't believe it. I mean, this is the first time I've launched a video-based podcast in my career. And the feedback that I'm getting from our members, shout out to all of our Academy members and also Inner Circle one-on-one students. We do have some announcements in regards to the Academy I'll share later on this evening. But before we jump into tonight's content, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, understand that my content is intended and must be used for informational and sometimes even entertainment purposes only. It is very important that you do your own due diligence before implementing any of the methods mentioned and using any of the tools shared. And that goes for any of our guests as well. Any results that we share on my platform, understand that they are not typical, and any investments that you make outside of what we talk about here, and if you decide to invest in a piece of real estate, that's going to be based on your own personal financial circumstances. Now, I recommend that you consult with a licensed professional and you verify anything that I say moving forward. So again, folks, welcome back to the Freedom and Wealth Seekers podcast, episode number 27. We're calling this the Six-Figure Rehab Deals podcast. So recently, today, as of today, I walked out of one of the local title companies in my marketplace. And I'm going to be teaching, dropping jewels all throughout this podcast in my marketplace with a check of over $130,000. Put in the chat if any of you could use an extra $130,000 this year. Just put it in the chat, yes. I want to make sure everybody's up and awake. Is that everybody? We got about 20 people on the live Zoom tonight, and I appreciate each and every one of you all. I appreciate the folks. A lot of you are starting to share the Zoom link. I appreciate that. And also you're telling people about the YouTube channel. And I ran into somebody. I ran into a Freedom and Wealth Seeker at the Dave Chappelle show in the Washington, D.C. area not too long ago. And I meant to ask him right before the show started, things were going on. I meant to ask if he was a subscriber. So if I run into any of you, don't be surprised if I ask to see your cell phone, pull up your YouTube app to make sure you're a subscriber to the REI Inner Circle YouTube channel. All right. So I feel you, Ed. I feel you on that. So I shared earlier that picture. I was walking out of the title company. So write down the word title company. Take a mental note. I think Derrick's here. Let's see if we can get his mic on. Wow. I don't know if it's your internet connection, Derrick. And it may be a glitch. Oh, no, you're good. I took a screenshot and the mic popped up, Derrick. Let's get Derrick to oh no. Let's get Derrick to unmute. Hey, buddy.
Hey, what's going on? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I don't know what happened. I'm thinking maybe it worked when I did the screenshot because I was going to send it to you. A couple of people here don't even have mics on their Zoom profile. But I'm glad you're here, man. Glad you're here. So earlier, I was actually just telling folks, Derrick, about the closing that we that we attended, and how I was able to walk out of the title company with $130,000+ check. And I asked the question, who here would like to walk out with a check like that, this year? And a lot of people said yes. So I'm glad Derrick Anthony is with us. He's going to talk about some of his six-figure deals that he's closed in the past. And I gotta ask that question. How many of you want to make six figures in real estate? Or seven figures? Put six figures, seven figures, put five figures. I got four figures. If you just want to make four figures, we can show you and teach you how to make four figures in real estate. Diane says seven figures. David says seven figures. Kelly says six figures. Tracy says seven. Curtis says seven. And it's so many different ways to make six and seven figures in real estate. And I'm gonna unpack this deal. Yes, six and seven figures. So the deal that the picture you all saw, I actually recorded a video, and I also recorded two videos today. And as promised, I said we were launching the academy at the end of June. However, there's been a change in schedule, okay? There's been a change in schedule for a good reason, for a really good reason. The academy is still launching. However, it's not going to launch today, all right? Now, one of the reasons why it's not going to launch today is because Derrick came to me about a week ago and told me he had just finished his first book. And I took a peek at the book, and I was blown away. How simple, how simplistic, how comprehensive this manual that he created, and I was even more excited that he created his own word. And I'm going to share it with you in a moment. But I did a video endorsing his new book, and he's offering it to all of the Freedom and Wealth Seekers today. And I have a link. I'm going to pull that link up, and I'm going to share it with you all shortly here. And he's going to talk about the book, but more importantly, we're going to unpack a couple of six-figure deals. Okay, we're going to unpack a couple of six-figure deals, and I want y'all to know something. The longer you're in this business, the likelihood of you closing six-figure deals is going to increase. I got to ask the question, how many of you are in this business for the long haul? Like, you're not playing around, you're in this business for the long haul. Put I am. Because if you're in this business only for the next 30 days, you're not going to see six figures in the next 30 days. It's just not going to happen. Okay. Somebody said I'm looking for the Tom Brady career in real estate. Absolutely. Absolutely. And you all, I'm speaking to the right audience. This ain't a get rich quick audience. I love it. In real estate, you build wealth slow. You get rich slow. And slow really isn't like 20, 30 years from now. If you all make the right investments over the next 10 years, you could be looking at a seven-figure portfolio or seven figures in the bank. It all depends on the amount of grit you have, how early you wake up, how late you go to sleep, your work ethic. Like, there is no cap on how much you can make in this business. All right. Now, not only are we going to talk about real estate, but we're going to talk about multiple streams of income. And what Derrick has done, and I got to give this guy validation here, because he practices what I preach. Meaning, when I started out in the business in 2002, I decided, I made it a responsibility, not just to me, but to people that I would serve in the future, that I would have 10,000 plus hours in my craft before I decided to give someone instruction. So Derrick has been in the business well over 5 years, and he's a young man. Young man, 25-year-old kid. I call him a 25-year-old kid, but he's really a young man who's been in the business almost 10 years now. Almost 10 years since he was 14 years old. He had interned for real estate investment companies. All right. So this kid is a veteran. This young man's a veteran. But there are a lot of people out here, they close one deal and they're the expert. They close 3 deals and they're the expert. But let's see how long those people last in the teaching business. They truly don't. I've seen them all come and go. I've been teaching since 2007. I've been teaching since 2007. I've seen so many people come in and leave, and they go into other industries. No knock against those folks, but you have to put in at least 10,000 plus hours into your craft. And he's done that. This young man has done that. I lost count after 10,000. I don't know. You truly, and I know some of you are like this in regards to real estate, and some of you already have your own businesses. When you're passionate about something, you don't even look at the clock. You don't even look at the clock. And we got to talk about commitment here. Okay, we got to talk about commitment. And I want y'all to really understand what this means. Because when it comes time for you to do a 6-figure rehab, guess what you're going to be signing? Loan commitments. If it's with a bank, whether it's with a hard money lender, private lender, somebody's going to make you commit to paying them back the money you borrow to possibly purchase the house, or the money you need to fix the house up, to buy materials and pay for labor. So write that word down, commit. And I want to know, it's just in the chat, how many of you are willing to make a commitment to yourself? Just write the word commit in the chat. Commit. I need to get at least 10 people to write the word commit. If we can get all 24 of you to write the word, 22 of you to write the word commit in the chat, that speaks something. That's saying something. That's powerful. That's impactful. All right, Jennifer Jordan. Shout out to Jennifer. Jennifer has a huge 5-figure deal waiting to close. Alexandria Mincy, commit. Again, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We got 10 people. What happened to the other 11? 11, commit. Like we're talking about 6-figure days. Like if you look at some of my videos from 5 years ago, this is before the real estate boom, right? I had 6-figure days that I've recorded on video. Some of my students have had 6-figure days, but there's all one common thing. We were all willing to commit early. Commitment to our education, commitment to taking action, implementing the information in our education, and executing. See, when you get into the rehab business, right? The people, because we talk about using other people's money, the people whose money we're using to rehab houses, they want us to commit, to make a commitment to finish the project all the way through. That's our promise to them. And that's why we sign promissory notes in some of our deals, because the investor who's investing in the deal, don't get lost in all this internet information where people say, they only base the loan on the property. Oh yes, that's most of the deal, right? But they also base the loan on the individual. Like this is a people run business. So your lenders, you want to have a relationship with a good relationship with them because you don't listen, you don't want to, you may not even have the capital to do the rehab. All right. Now I'm going to be very transparent on this deal that I closed today, right? Very transparent from start to finish. So I purchased this property in 2016. All right, 2016. And I purchased this house for $5,000. I'm going to go over location soon with you all, but I want you to understand what I did here. When I purchased, Derrick, you popped up for some reason. I don't know. Maybe it's your mic. So I purchased this house for $5,000, right? The house was the first home. It was the first crime scene of 2016. Okay. Two people were murdered in this house from my recollection. I know at least one person was. I think there was a second victim in this house. Okay, they were victims of an arson attack. Okay, the house was caught on flames in my marketplace of Baltimore. Two people, from my knowledge, have died there. Okay, the owner of the property was a longtime owner. I believe she grew up in the house. She owned a house that really a block away where she lived. She got in touch with someone that I knew, and they told me that this owner didn't really want anything with the property. They didn't have any insurance on the property to fix the house up. They just wanted to sell it, and get rid of it. So they sold me this house for $5,000. Now, $5,000 to me at the time wasn't a lot of money. Some of you, $5,000 may not be a lot of money. Like, hey, if I showed you, maybe I'll wait for that question. So I did my research and I noticed in that neighborhood, there were homes selling for $120,000 to $130,000. So I said, if I buy this house for $5,000 and I hold on to it, these property values may continue to increase. Okay, because 2016 property values were really strong. Okay, property sales were strong, and I know my marketplace because I read the business journal, I read the planning website and their newsletters. I follow them on social media, so I'm staying abreast to the new developments that are taking place in the neighborhood, and I already had invested in that neighborhood in the past, so I knew just from my information and knowledge, I was making a sound investment for just $5,000. Okay. If that makes sense to everybody, put a yes in the chat. If that makes sense. And folks, we're going to go longer than 30 minutes. This is really a course in itself tonight. That's why I call this a special podcast training. We're talking about six figures here. If you don't want to learn how to make six figures, seven figures, this podcast ain't for you. All right. All right. It's making sense. That's great. That's great. So I buy this property with my own cash. I had $5,000 laying around somewhere. I paid $5,000 cash for the property. All right. I didn't seek out any financing. Sometimes you have to invest your own money. Okay. It's a very small amount to me. And I said, I can take that $5,000 out of the bank that's not getting any interest. I can put it in a hard asset that I know is going to appreciate. So let's rewind a bit. When the deal was presented to me, okay, when the deal was presented to me, remember houses were selling for 120 to 130. About 6 months after settlement, I watched the sign because it was saying new homes coming soon, 120 to 130. The sign changed from 170 to the 180s. It went from the 120s to 130s. It may have landed on 170 at some point during that 6-month period. And it said to the 180s. I said, wow, I just made $30,000 potentially. $50,000 potentially. And I haven't done anything to the property. But the values in the neighborhoods for those style homes went from 150 to 180. Okay, it kept going up within just the first 6 months. So I decided I'm gonna put some money into the property. Again, I didn't take out any loans against the property. I used my own cash. So I put about $15,000 in the property. It was a fire damaged house. I had to take out all of the windows that were still there. There were like pieces of the window frame underneath the boards of the house. So I had to take that off, the boards off. I had to gut the entire house out. Everything inside, the plaster was charred. There was flooring in there, all charred, burnt up, really bad. This was my first fire damaged property that I decided to keep and renovate. All right. So I totally tore everything out of the property down to the beams. And if you know me, if you've been following me on Instagram, if you slide down to my 2016 post, guess what you'll see? You'll see that small row house where it's just beams and brick. This is go on my Instagram and go down to 2016. You'll see it. I don't know if I have any pictures of the fire damage in my phone, and I think I decided not to take those pictures just in respect to the people that lost their lives in that property. Okay, and for any naysayers and or skeptics out there, you can possibly just go to Google Maps and look at the Google Google the Street View. It may go back to 2016. It may. I haven't looked at it, so you may be able to see the fire damage in those images on Street View. So 2017 rolls around, 2018, and by that time, the property values are in the 200s in that particular neighborhood. All right. So I'm getting excited and I decided to rent the property. Okay. I decided to get a loan on this property and the goal was to rent it out and then eventually sell. So if you've been watching my podcast, folks, you know financial literacy is one of my rules of thumb nowadays. Since the pandemic, I wasn't really doing anything, so I was able to study financial literacy. Like I could teach you all how to make a lot of money, but if you don't have any type of financial literacy, it's going to go through your fingers, right? So I decided that I was going to start following these guys. Earn Your Leisure. I started hearing about them in 2018, started following them, and I came across two of my mentors in the financial literacy world, and that is Ian Dunlap and Wall Street Trapper. And Ian Dunlap and Wall Street Trapper, they have this rule that you have to hold your investments for 5 to 10 years before you cash out or you sell your shares in their words, right? And I said, that's that's funny because I remember hearing that in real estate and just studying a new niche, a new arena like stocks and other investments. The same principles apply. You have to hold your investments between 5 and 10 years before you see any growth. Before you see any growth. And if you all recall the first couple of episodes of the Freedom and Wealth Secret podcast, I talked about one of the biggest mistakes that I ever made in real estate was flipping my deals as soon as I gained control of them. Flipping my wholesale deals. Now, in the beginning, I had to do it because I didn't have much capital, but there was a point where I was flipping houses for fun. I was flipping houses like pancakes. And then I looked back and I said, wow, 15 years ago, I sold that house for 20,000. I made 6,000 on it, but today that same house I sold for 20 is worth 250,000. In some neighborhoods, 400. Like there's a street in my old neighborhood called Bell Avenue. I flipped the house with a student. She put the property under contract for $2,500. We sold it for 5,000. That same house today, that same house today would appraise for 400,000 to 500,000. That same exact house. And that house has been renovated and sold. It sold it within the last 10 years. Whoever purchased it is now experiencing the equity because they purchased it around like 275. But that's the power of real estate. That's the true power of real estate. All right. I started teaching in 2007. That student that put that deal under contract, I was doing seminars in Greenbelt, Maryland. Some of you may remember that. She uh she was in that program, and that was around 2012, 2013. So if you do the math, it ain't even been 10 years. It ain't even been 10 years. That property is appreciated, 3, 4 times what it was worth then. All right. So that's the power of real estate. So this deal, right? I rented this property out. I had a really good tenant. Had a really good tenant. And the tenant was backed by a subsidy, a government subsidized housing voucher. It wasn't Section 8. It was not Section 8. So I ended up, after getting a loan, I hired some contractors to fix the property up, made it really nice. Okay, made it really nice. Um, and being fully transparent, the goal was to actually rent the property out to a drug treatment company that I owned at the time. Some of you have been around and you know the story about that company. I won't go into it tonight, but when that company shut down, I still had the property. Okay, and I had built it out to serve that community. So this house had a full bathroom on the first floor. All right. It had a finished basement with 2 bedrooms and 3 bedrooms above with a full bathroom. Okay, beautiful house. There's videos of me walking through the property, talking about what I just told you about on my Instagram. However, when that business was shut down, I said I still need to lease this property. So I found a tenant through a program that focused on helping single moms that were homeless get back on their feet and become productive citizens all at the same time of being housed in a single family home or apartment. Okay. So this single mom, she had 3 children at the time we started her lease, and the rent was $1,600 per month. All right. Now, did I get my rent on time? You would think because it was backed by a government subsidy, I would have got my rent on time because the government's never late. Well, this program was late, like sometimes 3, 4 months late. Okay. And imagine this was at the time the only property I had signed up under this program. There were only about 77 landlords that were that were in this program along with me. Okay. And they did not do direct deposit. Okay. So this caused this caused some friction between me and the director, but not just me, the director, but all of the landlords were kind of like upset about this. And this happened right around COVID. At the end of the day, we all got our rent payments, right? I never had to evict my tenant. Okay. She stayed in the property, kept the property up. There was no real true damage. When her lease was up, like in 2021, I decided I wanted to sell the property, so she didn't give me any trouble. She found relocation. The organization that was paying the rent actually helped her relocate, and then I had to go back into the property and do cosmetic repairs. Okay, I had to repaint. I also had to clean the carpet because I had initially had carpet put in the property. I had to shampoo the carpet, and I also added a tray ceiling. I put about $8,000 into the property. So after that, I put the house on the market in 2021, and the house actually didn't sell. It didn't sell right away, and it was because I overpriced the property. So we roll into 2022. I relisted the property. ended up finding a buyer. And I don't know anything about the buyer. I didn't meet the buyers at settlement. I tend not to do that nowadays because new home buyers, if you're at the settlement and they believe you did the work, and in most cases you're not going to be the person that did the work, they're going to ask for your phone number, and that's a no-no. That's a no-no. You're only here because you own the house and you're selling the house. Okay, you're not here to give out your contact information. Okay, you're not a home builder. You're a residential redeveloper. You redevelop dilapidated homes. Okay, so my past days in my 20s, I used to give my phone number to all of the new homeowners, and my phone would ring if they wanted something updated. If something just broke and it wasn't my fault, if they had broke something in the house, they won't want me to come and fix it. Like, this is what I do. And it was just a hassle. So I teach all of my student partners, listen, don't go to settlement the same time as the homeowners. That's for the real estate agents to do. Okay. They're supposed to do all that stuff. If there's an issue with the property after they buy it, they're going to contact the real estate agent. The real estate contacts you. Keep that line of separation open. That's why you pay a realtor 6%. All right. So at the end of the day, over that time frame of 2016 to 2022, was it all peaches and cream? Absolutely not. I shared, when I leased the property, it was about 4 months. I didn't get any rent. Okay. I did eventually get the rent, but it was a hold on the rent checks. It wasn't direct deposit. Also, I had a break-in. I had an attempted break-in at one point when the property was vacant. Someone kicked in the basement door. They kicked in and they did not get in because I have really solid contractors. When they put that door frame in, they really secured it, and they couldn't get through the door. I don't know if the person didn't weigh enough or whatever. And I believe I know where that energy came from, because next door there were about 6 to 7 people squatting in the property next door. So this is where that word commitment comes in, ladies and gentlemen. Like, when you buy a property to rehab, whether you're going to rent it or you're going to resell it, you're making a commitment to everything that comes along with that type of investment. See, with local government foreclosures, you can put your money into a tax sale or tax deed, a tax sale certificate or a tax deed, and you can wait. Okay. But when you now become a property owner, there are a list of responsibilities that come with that. So when you see that $133,000 and change check today, understand that there were several hiccups that came along that ride from 2016 to 2022. It wasn't all peaches and cream. All right. Not only did I have a potential break in, I had some water get into the property during one of those torrential rains we got here in my region that had to be addressed. I had to put all new carpet in. I had to fix a drain. I had to fix a uh, a gutter and downspout. All right. Now, this is about rehabbing. I talked a little bit about the ugly stuff, and there's a little more ugly stuff that I'm going to share with you. But I want to take you through the rehab process. So, and I'll do my best here because I'm not going to use any PowerPoint right now. Um, the rehab process in every city is going to be different. Every city and county. You have to understand every city and county has their own building code. And you also have to understand that building codes change on a local level. They also change on the national level as well. All right, zoning codes and things of that nature. So with all that change comes regulation, right? And oversight. So when I started rehabbing houses in 2004, there was very little oversight in I didn't notice it. I never, like, literally there were properties that were being renovated that I participated in and other investors where permits weren't even pulled in the early 2000s. Okay, my first deal, I didn't pull a permit until a housing inspector happened to walk up on the property. And then I learned about permits. I didn't know. There were a lot of people, and there are people today that are rehabbing houses in 2022. I don't understand how they're getting away with this. They're rehabbing houses in 2022 and not pulling permits. So the first thing that I had to do for this property was I had to, number one, call an architect. And I had to get the architect. And I hope you're writing this down. Anytime you do a full gut renovation in a metropolitan city, preferably in my city, Baltimore, you have to hire a permit to draw new floor plans. Okay. And they ain't cheap. Floor plan floor plans will cost you anywhere, depending on how extensive they are, anywhere between and how big your property is, anywhere between $500 and $2,500. All right. You haven't even not put a nail in a piece of wood yet. All right. The other thing that I had to do was pull a building permit. Okay. And this can be very tricky as you all move along throughout your marketplace. Like Washington, D.C., I know investors that are very frustrated. They say, Marcel, it takes about 6 months, even to a year to get building permits. There are now companies in Washington, D.C. that specifically specialize in pulling building permits and architectural permits and design for investors in Washington, D.C. because it's a painstakingly task. It's almost impossible to get a permit in some cities if you don't know your way around the building permit office or the system, online system. And I'll tell you, I have a consultant, even in my city, because in the early 2000s, all you had to do was go down to the permit office and pull your permits. You can still do that, but now everything's online. And I have a consultant that I hire to pull my permits on my rehab projects. That's just something I don't like to do. And that's one of the beautiful things about becoming a real estate entrepreneur. You don't have to do everything in your business. In the beginning, you're going to have to do that if you don't have the resources or the relationships. But at the end of the day, you should only do things in your business that you like to do. Okay. So I had to pull permits for the property. I had my consultant assist me with that. And once all the proper permits were pulled, we're actually able to start the work. All right. We're able to start the work. Now, I'm reminding you, remember, I gutted the property out. So the next thing was framing. All right. So my contractors had to go in and start framing. Then I had to hire an electrician, a plumber, HVAC, somebody to do all those trades. Now, all three of those people were licensed. Okay. All three of those people were licensed. So they pulled their own permits. I also had to get some masonry work done. I put stucco on the property. Okay. Now, all that work got done. We call that roughing work. Write that down, roughing. And I'm going to have Derrick talk a little more about roughing and how he runs his projects. And I want you to understand, everybody runs their projects differently. Nobody does everything the same. All right. But as long as everything's to code, everything will be done the right way. And you want to do things to code, building code. I found out the hard way back in 2004 when an inspector walked up on one of my properties and I didn't have a permit. So as soon as I found out you had to pull permits, I started pulling permits on all the properties. And that's how I met my consultant back in 2005. All right. So once the roughing was done, I had to call in inspections along with the other contractors that were hired. And some of you may be asking, did I hire a general contractor? No, I did not. Okay. I am my own GC. That's what I like to call myself. I hire licensed people. Okay. All the general contractor does for the most part, from my experience through my lens, is they'll tell you a price and then they'll go hire the licensed people under them to do the work. Okay. So if you don't know any better, if you don't know that that general contractor may take 20, $30,000 off of your budget, that could be 20, $30,000 that you save for profit for your company, for yourself, for your family. Okay. And there's nothing wrong with using a general contractor. Like if I got into a deal out of state, I don't want any headache. I'm going to do my best to find a great general contractor who's going to be responsible for navigating the permit process, who's going to be responsible for making sure the property is secure. Okay. So you have to think smart when you're investing. You have to work smarter, not harder. Okay. Now, in my local area, I can have a little more control, or I could just hire a project manager or an intern to run a rehab project for me. Okay. Without paying the fees that I would pay a general contractor. I already went down that road. And I want y'all to understand this. Every general contractor out there isn't a good general contractor. That's a fact. That is a fact. So don't think just because they have a MHIC license or commercial license, because I know some of you are doing commercial projects, that that person is going to do the project to your standard or even complete the project. Okay. Derrick, are you still with us?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, man. I talked about a lot, man, and I definitely want to give you the platform. Number one, congratulations on publishing the Fliplosohy, the book Fliplosohy. I'm going to put a link in the chat shortly here. But can you tell us about Fliplosohy?
Yeah, sure, no problem. So essentially, as you already talked about, man, I've been started out wholesaling and got into um rehabbing homes and done a ton of deals and had a lot of people pretty much just ask me about the rehabbing process and how things go. And I know for me starting out, I didn't really come across a book or anything like that that had everything mapped out on how things go. So I just decided, why not put this together? It's a blueprint, step-by-step manual that essentially just tells you, man, like all the things you need to know about rehabbing, because it's a lot that happens throughout the process. It's a 6-month process, 4 to 6 months process when you're, you know, rehabbing these homes. And I talk about past jobs that I've done, the good, the bad, things that have happened in my experiences. So I try to give tangible tools that you can go out and use and hopefully get your first one done as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. One of the things I love about your book, and I saw you do this, you had somebody purchase your book, and then you offered them a free Zoom
Yeah.
training along with the book. This is a one-on-one Zoom training that people get after they purchase your book. And I thought that was you're over delivering, offering that service to people. That is just amazing. That's
Yeah.
amazing. So I shared today, you were with me at the title company. I shared the six-figure deal, but you're no stranger to six-figure deals as well. You actually closed a deal recently, and we profiled that on the Freedom and Wealth Seekers platform. I believe last year, you made $197,000 on one deal. Am I right?
Yeah. One
Can you
rehab.
one rehab? Now that wasn't in my local marketplace. That was in a totally different marketplace. You didn't know the lay of the land. You did GC that project yourself. Um, could you kind of go into that particular deal, because this is a six figure conversation tonight. You've done five figures handsomely on other rehab projects, but and when I say handsomely, to the tick of $92,000, $80,000, $60,000, rehabbing houses. But this, I'm going to just say it what it is, man. That's a $200,000 rehab. Could you take us into the meat and potatoes of that project from start to finish? And I may cut you off at some point because I want to drop this link to your book.
Right. So that's fine. So essentially that deal came in. That was a situation where seller pretty much didn't want nothing to do with the house. I believe it belonged to her husband. He passed
Yes,
away, got sick, and the house was pretty much sitting. It was not like any other house I had done, for the simple fact it wasn't a row home. It was a single family home, and also it was located in like a rural neighborhood, like a countryside. So there were a lot of horses and cows and hay and cornfields and stuff. So
gotcha.
it wasn't essentially in like your typical suburban neighborhood. It did have houses next to it, but it sat on a nice piece of land. It actually had a chicken coop out back as well. Like this was the total country. So that was my first time doing a rehab in that county. And like you mentioned not too long ago, things are pretty much always changing as far as like codes and laws, depending on which city or county or state you're in.
Yes,
So, being though I've done flips in the same state, being as though that house was in a whole totally different county, some codes are not the same as they would be in the city or close in the county where I'm at. So, um, it was a process, man. Definitely a learning process for sure. For the most part, I redid the whole house. Like I said, it was old. It was a 2 bedroom, no, 3 bedroom,
yes.
and turned it into four, with a full bathroom in the master suite, a full bathroom on the second floor, and a full bathroom in the basement. It had a garage. Like I said, it sat on almost like an acre of land. Put hardwood floors in there, carpet, stainless steel appliances. I mean, it was extremely nice. Had a real fireplace, exposed brick on the fireplace. Um,
Now, Derek, you if I recall, you break down this entire deal in your book. Am I right?
yeah, I break down this entire deal and also several other flips I've done as well.
So in the book, there are pictures of this house, right?
Yeah,
Before and after. Like,
yeah,
ladies and gentlemen, I want y'all to know, like, this is one of the most transparent pieces of information written that I've ever seen. And I've read some of the greats, Carlton Sheets. I've read his books. I've read Peter Conti's books. I can't recall any of them showing pictures of before and after in their books of deals that they closed. Okay. They may show deals of, students, and there's always a disclaimer that these people are potentially actors or something. Like, you remember those late night infomercials, folks. Yeah, I don't got to tell you, but I know these deals that he's talking about. I've walked these properties. I've seen these properties. All right. His mom listed all of these properties. This is documented. It doesn't get any realer than this. And when I tell you there's no fluff in this book, there's no fluff in this book. I am very sincere saying it. And it's a quick like, folks, this is the path of execution I'm going to put you on, right? Of implementation and execution. Step 1, buy the book today, right? Buy the book today. Step 2, receive an email from Derrick Anthony to schedule your Zoom training, right? Schedule that, get on his schedule right away. Step 3, read all 33 pages. That's it. It's 33 pages. Everybody could have their book done tonight. All right. Step 4, step 4, implement the steps from the Zoom training and inside the book. That's all you got to do. I'm going to put the link in the chat right now. That's a link to his book. It's only $100. You pay $100 to learn how to make hundreds of thousands of dollars rehabbing houses. I had to put the Freedom and Wealth Academy on hold. I was excited about the launch of this book of one of our alum that published information. If you all recall, I always say that I've helped thousands of people all over the country, not personally, but through my students that have used my platform. Built a foundation with the information, and then came up and evolved that information into their own system. And Derrick is in the process of trademarking Fliplosohy. That's a word we've never heard. It's a new word for our culture from our people that look like us. He's changing the game. The link to his book, Fliplosohy, is in the chat. It comes with an unheard of bonus. A Zoom training, absolutely free, one-on-one with Derrick. He's going to record it. You're going to get a copy of the training, so you'll have it forever, right? All for just one payment of $100. And we've all spent more than $100 on things that have never given us anything back. Whether you bought a pair of Air Jordans, whether you bought a Chanel bag, whether you purchased that used car that just looked pretty but wasn't pretty on the inside. You all know what I'm talking about. $100 potentially could put you on a trajectory to change your lives financially. Just a small cash outlay of $100. And I know folks. I mean, think about this. Some of you putting over $100 in your gas tank right now into a depreciating asset. Yes, I understand we got to go to work, but some of you are working from home and you're putting $100 in a depreciating asset that is not appreciating or bringing any revenue back into your household. But you can invest $100 in yourself today and get something that nobody can ever take away from you, and also get information that will appreciate over time with action. But you got to take the first step. The first step is, remember, taking action, purchasing the book. So Derrick, I wanted to shout that out before you continued with this case study of $200,000 on one of your latest rehab deals. Well, 197 for the cynical people out there. But Derrick, please continue. I
Yeah,
think my
so
tickets to Dave Chappelle were like $600. I know a few of y'all were there. Okay. Um, so I don't remember any of the jokes he said, actually. I just had a good time, but I don't remember any of the jokes. And if you bought drinks that night, whew, you spent over $100 buying drinks. So $100 book that you'll have forever, that you could pass on generation to generation, who could pick it up and read it. Okay, it's a PDF. That means it can survive any weather, or it's digital. This is a digital book that you'll have for the rest of your life. Derrick, please go on. And if you just bought the book, put in the chat, I just got my copy. We want to know, we want to recognize you on tonight's podcast, episode 27. This podcast is going in the books. We brought back alumni who has an informational product, who's created now yet another stream of income for himself. I put in the text, we're going to talk about multiple streams of income tonight. And he's done that. So Derrick, please go on.
yeah, where were we? So with that deal,
Hold on one second. Donna Perry's asking, what's the book? The book is called Fliplosohy. You can't find it on Amazon. He self-published the book. It's direct to consumer, just like we go direct to homeowner. We don't buy properties from middlemen. We go directly to the owners of the properties and we buy them. So he's using that same methodology. Donna, there's a link There's a link in the chat. It says grab a copy of the book here. You click that link. It's simple, it's easy. And you purchase your book. You get your copy tonight. And then Derrick is going to send you an email, a personal email from himself. And he's going to jump on a Zoom with you. And you're going to talk, but remember, you got to read the book first before you jump on Zoom. That's part of the deal. You have to read the 33 pages, and then you get on the Zoom for the training. So, Derrick, I just wanted to clear that up for everybody.
Yep. So, like I said, this was a new stomping grounds for me, right? So I didn't know much about the codes and everything like that. Inspectors were giving me a hard way to go. Um, being as though this is in a whole nother county that I'm used to flipping houses, and there's some things that you have to do as far as installing sprinkler systems, which cost me around like 10 grand, right?
Yep.
But yeah, but being as though I ran my numbers and I put myself in situations and all of my flips and wholesale deals, being as though if something was to go wrong or if something didn't make sense, there's still a nice piece of cushion I could fall back on, right? So if I didn't have to pay that 10 grand, the profits would have been 207 grand instead of 197. But taking 10 grand off of 207 is not bad. If that happens again, I would totally be happy. So, but the process went pretty much smooth because besides the hiccups with the sprinkler system situation, but this was in the height of COVID as well. So this was 2021, I believe. This is before the rates of the interest started to raise. That just happened a couple of months back, and I actually just sold the house like right before the rates raised, and I believe that kind of the economy kind of affected that house as well. And I can speak on that if you need me to, but yeah, this was in the height of COVID. This was a six-figure deal, the most money I've made on a flip, and yeah, man. I'm trying to think like what else happened with this deal. I mean, the whole process was smooth. The settlement was smooth. When I put the house on the market, I received a ton of interest. I think the house went under contract less than 2 weeks, like 13 days, if that. I can't remember, but it
Yes.
sold pretty fast. Uh, Ended up selling for 475. Picked up the house for about 100 and something, put about 115 into it. So, I mean, it was a grand slam deal, man. I'm looking for more houses in that neighborhood as we speak.
I love it. I love it, Derrick. I love it. Let me tell you, folks, something. At 25, he's accomplished more. And I'm just looking at myself. By the age of 25, I was still in college trying to figure real estate out. And I share that to say, it doesn't matter your age. It doesn't matter your age. It's the same information, the same principles. I don't care if you're 19. I don't care if you're 25. I don't care if you're 35, 45, 65. And history tells us that. It doesn't matter your age. Once you learn how to buy low and sell high, nothing can stop you in this business but yourself. And I always go back to my hero, Frederick Douglass, who was still buying and developing property in his 70s from information he had learned in his 20s. Think about that. Think about that. So it doesn't matter. Someone either told Frederick Douglass, Zoom wasn't around, but Frederick Douglass figured out how to build houses. Well, you know what he's famous for? Learning how to read. So he probably read. And I say it with such sincerity and seriousness because there's literally a link in the chat that you can click and you can read and learn how to create freedom. for yourself. I don't know what that freedom looks like for you in your life, but it can create freedom because you know what money does buy? Money buys you time in pretty much any arena in life. It buys you time. Okay. That's what I can say money does. And I'm pretty sure everybody on this Zoom could use more time to do the things that they love, to take those vacations, to spend time with loved ones that may be ill, to take care of loved ones, to donate to charities, to give back to their community, to spend more time coaching that youth basketball, baseball, or soccer or football team without having to think about how you're going to put money in a gas tank. But the first thing you have to do is you have to get educated. You have to get educated. And there's, no better way to introduce. He just published this book last night. And I said, Derrick, I want to put the launch of the Freedom and Wealth Seekers Academy on hold because you have something that is complete that you want to share with the world. And what better way to share it with a platform you're already familiar with and people that are familiar with you. Folks, if you attended the Rehab Mastery, Derrick stole the show at the Rehab Mastery last month. We had 10, remember, the limit was 10. We had 10 students show up. And Derrick took home the show. This guy's a master teacher. He's now a master author. And I'm excited for the Fliplosohy. That book is going to go worldwide. It's $100. My first book, just to let you know, was 47 bucks. But that was 12 years ago. Some of you have that book. And I'll tell you, inflation's here because Derrick asked me, what do you think I should sell the book for? And I said, it's got to be no less than $100 because we're talking about rehabbing. This is the information when you're talking about rehabbing, we're not talking about wholesaling. We're talking about rehabbing because it's a commitment people have to make. This isn't just borrow people's money and hope that the project goes
Hey,
along. Yeah.
hey,
You there?
do you mind if I jump in for a second?
Absolutely.
So you touched on something as far as like commitment, right? And
Yes.
with this book, like you said, it's only $100, and I was kind of skeptical because this is my first time publishing a manual book or anything like that. So I'm like, Marcel, I want to make it, affordable, and I want everybody to get this information. But you were telling me like, man, this is great information. You told me how much you had released your first book for, and you're like, man, put it out there. And I saw people purchasing the book, and I'm like, man, you were right. But you touched on commitment, and I just want to say this, like, rehabbing is nothing like wholesaling. If a commitment of $100 or however much that may be, as far as trying to further yourself and get some information so you can take yourself and your family to the next level, then rehabbing is not for you. Because let me tell you, that deal where I made $197,000 on, I had to put $41,000 of my own money up. And that's a ton of commitment.
Absolutely.
And you talked about lenders. Let me tell you, hard money lenders won't even commit to you unless you've done a certain amount of deals, unless you had a reputation, unless they worked with you before, or unless you're putting some skin in the game. So, I just want to kind of touch on that because I think that's extremely important. Like, wholesaling is great and you can make a ton of money wholesaling. I made $9,000 just the other day off of a wholesale deal, but there's nothing like those six-figure paydays, those high $50,000 paydays. I made 50 grand off of a flip a month or two ago, but they take a certain level of commitment. You got to put some sweat in the game when it comes to that, because that's serious business. I know you talked about, this isn't a get rich quick scheme. This doesn't happen overnight. I'll tell you, I went from making 25 grand on my on the rehab. From that, going to 90,000. From that, taking 92,000, taking 41 grand out of that money, put it into a whole nother deal, turning that to 197,000, and then taking about 15,000 of that, putting into another deal and making 50 grand. So you got to put some skin in the game. You can't be afraid to jump out there and take that leap and commit, because that's what this business is all about, commitment, especially when it comes to rehabbing.
Man,
Because
I
if you
love it.
don't commit, your lender could take your
Yeah,
deal.
you take your
Like,
deal from you.
it could get ugly.
Man, you're dropping some jewels. I'm pretty sure people have questions, so I want to take this time to open up the chat for questions about rehabbing, and me and Derrick will will do our best to answer your questions that you send in.
And
So
we
if you,
got to acknowledge Miss Wesley Butler purchased her copy of her last name is Wesley Butler. She
okay,
purchased a copy of
Miss Wesley Butler, congratulations. Congratulations, Wesley Butler, who purchased a copy of the Fliplosohy. Loving it, loving it, loving it. So any questions regarding rehabbing houses? This is about building a six-figure rehabbing business. All right. When the academy does launch, we're going to be going over how to acquire properties, how to get funding for properties. But this is something. I don't have any books on rehabbing. There's truly not many out here with this level of information. There's, like I said, there's no fluff. I was a little upset with Derek. I said, you didn't put any like personal story in. You just gave them step one, step two, step three, step four, step five, step six, step seven, step eight, step nine, step 10. He didn't put any fluff. This is like concrete. Go to this website. This is how you pull permits. This is how you line up financing. This is how you manage your contractors. You pretty much just created a assembly line process for your reader, and they can just plug and play. Am I right by saying that?
Yeah, 100%. I wanted to make it as simple as possible.
Somebody just said no fluff. He got my sale. Absolutely. He's not giving no fluff on this. Like he could just be talking about going to the title company, hold the $197,000 check, how it made
No,
him feel, not having to go to work at Burger King. No, he's talking about making money.
yeah. And I'm talking about the real, because I know you
But you're
talked
talking about
about,
how to make money. You're not just talking about making money. I mean, anybody can
yeah,
get on and say, "Oh, I made $300,000."
right. And I was going to mention that, you have a lot of people who are on social media and really aren't in this business, and they tell you how simple it is to make all this money, but they never tell you that they had to put up some money to make it happen, and the trials and tribulations that happen, and along with the process. But I wanted to make this. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Hold that thought real quick, right? Because people might get intimidated when they hear you had to put $41,000 up to make 197,000, right? But
Mm-hmm.
what people don't understand is that once you find a deal, ladies and gentlemen, once you find a deal, the money will find you. So
Yeah.
there are people that will give you bridge loans to get in the deal. So don't get scared when you hear these big numbers. All right. See, a lot of people don't tell you that. Like, once you find a deal and the numbers make sense, as long as the numbers make sense, let's just say you got a $200,000 potential profit. Well, guess what, ladies and gentlemen? That $200,000 potential profit may go down to 150,000 because you had to borrow money from two or three different people to make the deal happen. But as long as you have the process in place, you have the blueprint, that gives you the ability to execute, to implement and execute. And that's what the Fliplosohy book gives you. It gives you the blueprint for you to learn, implement, and execute. Once you learn, now you can attract the money to your deals. Derrick, continue. I know I cut you off. I
Yeah,
had to
no,
share
it's
that though.
yeah. I should have touched on that. It's great that you said that because with my first rehab deal, I didn't have to put up any money at all. Got private funding from someone, and like you said, if it's a really great deal, money will find you. And don't be afraid to JV up with somebody or find some partners. Because with my first rehab, I didn't put up anything to acquire the house. I didn't have to
Hmm.
put anything down to get the loan to get the funds to fix up the house. But at the settlement, it got paid off, but it didn't matter because in my second deal, the house was free and clear and it was a really huge check. So, um, it's a case-to-case situation, depends on how much the house is for, how much the loan is for. Being as though my loan was for so much for that house, that's why I had to put up that much money. It was like a 200 and something $1,000 loan. And that was my first time dealing with that lender,
Linda,
right? So
got you.
that's what typically happens. But where were we before that?
Oh, you were taking us. I think it's now. I think it's time to like jump to some questions.
Oh yeah, yeah,
You
we can
know,
jump into some questions.
people, but I don't know. Maybe we answered all the questions. Nobody sent in questions. You can. Okay, what contracts did you use with your tradesmen? Well, in
Con-
the begin, yeah, somebody's asking that. So you definitely want to get a contractual agreement in place with your electricians, with your plumbers, with your HVAC folks, the licensed people, your roofers, waterproofers. Sometimes those contractors supply you with agreements. It's up to you to agree to their terms, or you can use your own agreements. I know my students that do rehabs, I supply them with agreements to use with the contractors that they may hire. I also teach them how to hire the contractors, and how to interview them. That's a good question. It's pretty much a general agreement. Like I said, I'm not sharing any screens here this evening. This is a conversation, and I'm pretty sure Derrick, he's going to be having a live event in the near future, Fliplosohy live event at a rehab. No, not at a hotel ballroom, at a house
at a
that
real
he,
house that that I'm really a part of and really rehabbing.
yeah. So, I'm pretty sure, you know, once you get the book tonight and do the training, the Zoom training, you'll probably get invited to the Fliplosohy. Oh, man, that's a tongue twister, Derrick. So I tell
Lipolosophy.
you, I'm from
So it's
Baltimore. We
just
got an accent. Fliplosohy, sociology, biology, Fliplosohy. It's a movement, ladies and gentlemen. It's a movement. The freedom and wealth seekers are behind that, are behind it. Okay. This is, folks, let me tell you something. Derrick came through the same program a lot of you are coming through, all of my students. Okay. If you all decide that you want to teach after you've, of course, I got a standard. You gotta give yourself at least 5 years in the business before you start teaching. But once you do that, once you have shown how serious you are, as my platform, I have 24,000 emails. Some of you on the Zoom probably got an email from me this evening. Okay. I will promote what you have to share. Okay. Because people learn differently. I didn't like all my teachers in school. I like my gym teacher the most. No, honestly, I like my history teacher in high school the most. But I'm I want to produce more leaders. That's what Freedom and Wealth Seekers is about. This is truly the essence of the name of this community we've created. Frederick Douglass did not free all the slaves by himself, ladies and gentlemen. Harriet Tubman was with him. There was a couple of William Till was, I believe that's William. I hope I'm not messing his name up. Was with them in Philadelphia. Okay, there were a lot of people involved in that freedom movement. And now there's a new movement and it's happening all across the country. We're not the only people talking about financial freedom and wealth seeking. Okay. I just watched a video. Man, the name is not ringing a bell. But the lady is floating around social media, and I've never seen a video of this lady. She was a civil rights leader. It's not ringing a bell, Derrick. It's gonna go over your head, but I saved it, and I'm gonna play this video. We gotta play this video, okay? We gotta play this video because I saved it on Instagram. Hopefully, I'm able to pull it up on my desktop. But it was a powerful message, and I want to ask a young 25-year-old man, Derrick, what this message means to him if I can find it. So let me well, I hit keyword, I'm sorry. I'm trying to find my saved post on the desktop, Derrick. Is there any way you can do that? I don't know.
Um,
On the desktop, this guy's like a tech whiz when it comes to the social
you be
media
able to
stuff.
check, scroll down to Finder
Finder.
at the
Where is that?
bottom.
At the bottom?
On the left, it should pop up with all of your.
So let me ask, are you going to talk about social media? Because you leverage social media with your rehabs. You have some of
Yeah,
the coolest videos. When people buy your book during the training, are you going to show them how to use social media
right. I'm gonna talk
with their
about.
business?
Yeah, and real quick, I want to shout out to Karen. She took action, and
Shout out to Karen.
Karen Ramsey.
Love it. Love it.
So yeah, I mean, social media is extremely important. I think, to be quite honest, my last rehab, the one I just sold about a month or two ago, I think that came from social media, to be honest. But social media, social proof is extremely important.
Yes,
Um,
indeed.
Getting the right realtor is extremely important. My mom is great. She knows how to stage the house, how to properly list the property as far as pricing goes, even though I have my own prices in mind. She's always looking at the comps and the numbers to let me know where things are at. She's always getting great photos, great drone shots. So that house that's set on a ton of land, it was extremely important to get a drone shot of that, drones flying all throughout the house and getting footage. Um, all of that stuff is extremely important. So once all those photos and drone shots are done, I put them on social media. We put them on the multi-listing service, and the people start to roll in. We get a ton of showings at every house I've fixed and flipped. Tons of showings, tons of interest, and they always get sold with less. I don't think I've had a house yet that's set longer than 2 weeks.
Derrick, while I find this name, I'm going to find this while we're online. I'm on Google right now. Can you go into your latest rehab? You
Yeah,
talked about this $200,000 rehab, but I feel as though you encountered some discrimination. Uh, and if you wanted or elected to 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 contest what happened to you on this last deal, even though it was a very, very profitable deal, um, I believe you were discriminated against, and it cost you about $50,000. Can you talk
right.
about that?
Yeah, sure, no problem. I touch on
Yeah.
this in the book as well.
Yes.
This is a house that I just did in the city. This was a 2-bedroom property in the Park Heights community. I was looking to convert it to 3 bedrooms, like I always do, put a room downstairs in the basement, full bathroom. Um, and it was a pretty simple house. I've done a ton of these houses before, so the row homes are all essentially the same. Come in, take out all the walls. With this house, though, I did put on like an extension and a kitchen.
Hmm.
Um, Added a deck out back as well. Tray ceilings, hardwood floors. I mean, wine fridge in there. The house was extremely nice. It was actually one of the nicest houses, rehabs on that block within the mile radius, in my opinion. And I'm not just saying that because it's my house and I fixed it up. It was extremely nice, especially for that neighborhood. But before I started the house, I saw houses were selling for about 160,000. I got the house for about 29,000. This was a probate lead. This is a quick nugget probate leads are great leads. Because again, there are people who get left properties and might not want much to do with them. So fast forward, I saw that houses were selling for 160, 165, and got it for 29, and put about 75, 80 into it. So I was all in roughly like around 100 and something, low hundreds. So I was looking to, make 60 grand, 55 grand. But what happened was I had another house on the next street over that I wholesaled. I was planning on rehabbing 2 houses at the same time. But my lender didn't like that first house, so I wholesaled it to someone else. And they ended up flipping that property.
Oh, wow.
They ended up flipping it, selling it for way more than I was expecting. They sold it for 190,000, and the basement was not finished. The house was across the street from a ton of vacants. So I was in shock, right? And I'm thinking, wow, at this house.
Let me ask you a question.
Go ahead.
Were the investors that owned it, did they look like you? Were they African American?
No, it's actually, I don't want to say the company's name, but you're familiar with, it's a really huge company in Maryland. And
So it was a white company.
Yes.
And their property appraised for more than your property.
Yeah, with
if that's not systemic racism in the housing arena, it still exists in 2022. And that's more of a reason why we need this information, folks, because as we see, the system is not for us, it is still against us in 2022. That's more than enough reason to buy the book, learn this information, so the generations that come after you, maybe things will be better. But we're talking literally 6 generations after Dr. King. And this young man, 25, is still dealing with systematic oppression. Systemic racism, systematic oppression. Clear as day. And this happened in a Black neighborhood. Am I right, Derrick?
Yeah, correct. Predominantly Black.
Predominantly Black neighborhood. So please, and this took place before or after the sale of your property?
This was before. So what the whole problem was
before the interest rate went up as well.
Yeah, this was right before what was it at 6% now? And this is
let me share this. Ladies and gentlemen, this is someone that I heard her name a lot coming up through school, but we read a little bit about her, but I didn't even know video existed of this woman till today. And I just got excited when I heard these words. I'm gonna share this with you right now. Take notes. Powerful, powerful, powerful words. Hopefully you all, I gotta unshare because I didn't share the right way with the audio. Let me stop share. Let me share again. Share sound. Shirley Chisholm. I'm gonna play this audio for you.
If you want to help to change America around,
let me do the work. Let me rewind this.
You women better wake up if you want to help to change America. You do the work. You better wake up. And don't be afraid. Have confidence in yourself. And the ability that you have is ability and talent given to you by God. And don't let anybody use you. Don't let people continue to use you and to manipulate you. The only thing that you have is your integrity and the principles and the convictions of what we are fighting for in America. in terms of opening up this system so that a lot of people can really feel that they can participate in it and not have that small, tight few that continues to manipulate every one of us. You women better wake up if you want to help to change.
Oh man, if that didn't touch me, I felt it in my spirit when I heard those words of opportunity. Like she was speaking about a system that kept things away from others. You know who she was talking? She was talking about us. Like, did you feel that, Derrick?
Yeah.
Like, I want people to know, like, in 2000, in the year 2000, I had no knowledge of real estate. Our people are really just becoming a part of this arena. Like, we just started participating because of the advent of the internet. But when I started, the internet was a baby in 2002. There was very little information on real estate investing. The information that I located, I then had to find offline groups and seminars, and I would be the only Black person in the room up and down the East Coast. But now we're here. Like, we are here. Derrick is the future. Like, this is a young man, and I'm running into more and more young men and women that are now investing in real estate. They're coming right out of high school. Boom. I got to learn how to own some of this country's property. And Shirley Chisholm, she was talking. I mean, you look, she reminded me of my grandmother, the way she was speaking, with conviction, with commitment, with her heart. And that's something you put into this book. I want to commend the ladies that share in Shirley Chisholm's vision, that purchased the Fliplosohy book today. And I literally just saw that post. Like, that was my last saved Instagram post today. I saved Instagram posts. That was the last one that I saved today. And I said, I got to share this on the Zoom tonight because she's speaking to me. She's speaking to each and every one of us. Like, God gave us all the ability to execute, to become successful. We just need the access. The door is open, but we need to knock the door down. We still got work to do, folks. And the only way we are able to experience true equality and opportunity is more of us have to be at the table. We're creating the table, but how many of us want a chair at the table? Now is the time. Now is the time. Derrick, continue to share your testimony, man. This is eye-opening. This is really a national story. This is a worldwide story.
Yeah.
That you invested in a property, and your counterpart, who was another race, who's white, their property appraised for more than yours. Same renovation, same style home, on the same block directly across the street.
No. So there were two houses. That house, that huge company, that was on the next block, but there was literally there was another house on the same block directly across the street that appraised and that settled on the same day as my house, the same exact day.
That house appraised. So I gotta ask this question.
Yeah.
Was that owner of another race too?
I believe so, yes.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. And the appraiser was not the same race as me and was extremely rude over the phone. I heard him talking to my realtor. I mean, we were trying to figure out, I mean, my house appraised less for houses that sold a year ago with basements that were not finished, rehabs that were work that was not up to the same standard as mine, the same level, no decks. I mean, it was, I mean, it just left me flabbergasted. And I mean, I kind of lost faith in the business, man. It's just unbelievable.
Right. That's crazy. That's crazy. I got a question from Karen. Karen, I think you need to consult with a real estate attorney in that situation. I would just Google real estate attorneys. There's several in different marketplaces. Most title companies are owned by attorneys. So if you just call title companies and ask to speak to the attorney there, they will be able to give you better direction than I can from a legal perspective.
Hey, real quick, I want to shout
Yeah.
out Mr. Richardson, Mr. Braxton Richardson. Braxton,
Oh,
man. Braxton.
congratulations,
I think
Braxton.
Braxton was on the live earlier and told me he was going to be tuning in. So I'm glad he took action. Shout out to Braxton Richardson.
Excellent. Excellent. I've seen Braxton on the podcast. Braxton, is this your first podcast with us? I think I've seen that name a few times. Let us know if you're still here.
But just a quick, thing about that situation, about that deal. Like, I essentially lost out on $50,000 because I had a contract on that house for 202
Wow.
or something like that. But it's important. I talk about this in the manual. It's important to know your numbers and put yourself in situations where you can always win, no matter what, right? So,
Absolutely.
I mean, even though it's unfortunate, I mean, and we could have fought it, but the way this economy is going right now, I mean, things are, super ugly. The rates were going up. I just kind of had to take that one. But I was fortunate enough to still come out on top and make
Yeah.
50 grand. Would have been a six-figure payday, but unfortunately, they say the devil is always busy. So.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Shout out to Braxton, who is a mortgage officer at Rocket Mortgage and also wholesaling. Love it, man. Love it, man. Continue to educate yourself, Braxton. Continue to educate yourself. Wow, we are rolling. We are rolling tonight. It's crazy. Like, I get more excited about sharing information with people than closing big deals like this today. Like, I was excited to a certain extent, but it wasn't like when I first started the business. Like, you probably already there, Derrick, because you've closed a lot of deals. It's like when we close deals, it's like, all right, another day at work at the office.
Yeah,
Another day at
but
the job.
teaching and speaking, man, I miss those live seminars and events. Like, man,
Yeah,
that was way more fun than I
that
mean,
is a lot more fun.
it's always good to make money, but getting to teach the people and meet folks that are, speaking to us on social media and follow us and stuff like that, and being able to teach and hang out for 3 days and stuff like that is super exciting and way more fun than closing deals.
Absolutely. And I like this new thing, like this internet thing. I'm starting to get the hang of it. I finally got live on my laptop. Folks, we're in the process of building out a podcast studio. So don't think you're just going to see this backdrop, and Derrick in his office. We're putting together a studio. Hopefully it'll be complete in 2023. I can't wait. 2023, we should be at like episode 100 something, right? I'm excited about that. This book is just a beginning of what Derrick has in store for his community. He also has a secret niche that he hasn't talked about yet, that I believe he's working on something special in regards to that niche market. We don't know where we're heading, folks. Everything is speculative right now. With the economy, people aren't losing their homes yet at alarming rates. I don't know if that's even going to happen because they did tighten up the lending requirements after 2008. So I believe, there will be some folks in every market. There's always someone that loses their home, okay, in foreclosure. But statistics are showing. I was just watching the podcast show on the Earn Your Leisure Network, Rants and Gems. Two amazing people there. The mortgage broker, and there's a real estate agent from Atlanta, MG, the mortgage guy. And I don't want to mess up the young lady's name. She's from Atlanta, but very knowledgeable. And they do their homework, and they put up statistics last week on the nationwide foreclosures compared to the 2008 debacle, and the numbers are totally opposite. So I stand corrected on previous podcasts where I said, I believe we're going into another housing crash. I used to say that. I now saw the numbers. And remember, documentation beats conversation all the time. And people lie, numbers don't. And the numbers are the numbers. The housing market looks pretty healthy on my side of the desk. Okay. So if you're looking for opportunity that prices are going to soar down, I don't know if that's going to happen over the next couple of years. I do not believe that's going to happen. Okay. Prices may stabilize. There won't be any more speculations. Banks, especially for us, may not appraise properties like what Derrick went through, but there's always a strategy around that. There's always a strategy around those type of unscrupulous, and I gotta say racist people, gotta call them like we see them, that, try to hold us back. Okay, we have to become thinkers. How do we do that? We have to start reading. We have to start educating ourselves. All right, we have to. And my students that are rehabbing, there are definitely some strategies I can share with you and Derrick next time, where if the appraiser, if you can find out who the appraiser is, you're not the one that's going to be showing up to the appraisal. You'll have somebody else there. And we've seen all the news stories. We've seen the news stories nationwide, 60 Minutes, ABC Dateline, where they stage a black family appraising a house and they stage a white family appraising a house. And they sometimes don't even show the family. They'll have the pictures of the families in the houses. And the house with the black family will always appraise less than the house with the white family. Okay, so people know what's going on. But on this level, on the ground level, the people that are in the trenches investing in these properties, they're not talking about that on Dateline yet, or 60 Minutes. How the black investor is not giving their fair share of the stake. Okay, and we're going to address that, and that's the story, Derrick. I think you could amplify and get more eyes on your book. So think about getting some a public relations person and PR person, because that story needs to be heard. And I'm sure you're not the only investor that has gone through that. I personally, in my 20 some years of real estate, I haven't experienced that yet, and hopefully I don't have to. But it's crazy to hear the story in 2022 happen to you. Happen to you, man.
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
Absolutely. So, folks, we're gonna end here, man. This was a great conversation, almost 2 hours, Derrick. Folks, I'm gonna put the link in the bio one more time. I'm sorry, not the bio, but in the chat, and then I'm gonna text it out to everybody, so you can grab a copy of this book. Again, it's only $100. We spent more than $100 at the bowling alley. We spent more than $100 at Blockbuster. We spent more than $100. Where else did we go, Ray? Derrick, where do we go? Where do we like to eat? Where do we like to eat? Chick-fil-A.
Hey, I spent $100 on you earlier.
Yeah, you guys treated me to crab cakes. Yeah. I mean, I did benefit in my stomach, right?
Yeah.
But look, folks, $100, a small cash outlay. You can get the book tonight, read the book tonight, schedule a Zoom call with Derrick this week, get more information, and then you can start implementing and building out your plan to rehabbing your first deal, to putting yourself and your family in a position to make 6 figures over the next 12 months. Let's make it happen, folks. Click the link in the chat. Check the text message. I'm going to have this replay up soon. The replays from the last couple of episodes are actually up. Go like, share, comment. We got to catch this YouTube algorithm, because we want to continue to go live on YouTube. However, that didn't happen today. Nobody showed up. And it's because we're not on YouTube's algorithm yet. But we're going to figure it out. We're going to get there. So, folks, good evening. Thank you. Thank you, Diane. Absolutely. I'll be talking to you soon, and I look forward to seeing you all at the closing table very, very soon. Quick story. Hey, Derrick, we went to the
Yeah.
title company today. Golly. We
Ah,
went to the title company today, and guess who the lady said I look like, folks? She said, "Has anybody ever told you you look like Denzel Washington?" Just give me